G'day fellas. Welcome to a casted game between Lucas L, who's spawning in the south of the map, playing on the Germans, and his opponent, Mr. Woody Hare. Now, Mr. Woody Hare is a gentleman who also goes by the name Sir Callan, and I understand that today he's got quite the strategy planned out for us today. So this map that we're playing on is Gran Chaco. Now, Gran Chaco is a map that doesn't have any trading posts on it, so typically you would expect to see, with a British opening, that they would be taking a trading post in Age 1, that they would be looking to secure a Virginia company opening. It's a very common opening that we do see. And just noticing a little bit of lag here. I'm not sure if you guys are spotting that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to speed up my in-game FPS. Hopefully that fixes her up. I'm not sure if that's going to make it go any faster. Doesn't look like it does, so we're going to just have to deal with it. Looks like he's managed to pull out a couple llamas. So on this map, you've got these llamas that spawn towards the center. So normally you've got 4 that spawn on the top pond, so 2 groups of 2. And it looks like Lucas may have already got the first group. I can't see exactly where did that? Oh no, they're over here. They're hiding. Jeez. Okay, this is very far away. Typically you would see them more like this. So you see how there's 2 llamas here, then there's 2 more llamas within like a walk. Well, these ones are very, very far away, so it's might be a little bit tougher to see. Lucas does actually manage to find it. I think Mr. Callan's actually come back and looked for them, but has been unsuccessful just simply because he's gone past them. If we have a look at his scouting path, he's gone right around them, so a little bit unfortunate for him. But typically in the early game, the battle is always going to be fought over these llamas. These llamas are really going to enable you to change the way that you play if you can secure early llamas, especially if you can beat your opponent. So as an example, if you see like an Indian player on this map, they're typically going to be able to secure almost all of the llamas almost all of the time, because these ponds, sometimes they can be a bit random with the way that they spawn. So as an example, this pond here sometimes spawns up here, and then this pond over here spawns down south. And so what will happen is, as an example, you know, you might think that this is your closest pond, but actually it's not. It's your furthest away pond. And then, you know, maybe the Indian player makes the right call, sends out his explorers to the right positions, and bam, you've lost all of the llamas. So it does happen quite a fair bit. It can happen with anybody who's got 2 explorers in the early game. So let's take a look at the map, see exactly what treasures we've got on display there. We've got the 100 food treasure, so a very, very nice pickup. We've also got just some basic treasures around the base, just some coin treasure, an XP treasure, a native scout. We've got Virginia Company coming in as the first card for Mr. Woody Hare. And nothing else too hot, maybe 100 coin down here. Also got another 100 coins. So actually, I take that back. And there's 70. Wow, okay. Definitely all the good treasures are weighted towards the west-south side of the map. That is for sure. Another small treasure over here. So 4 really, really nice treasures over here on this this quadrant down here in this corner. So let's take a look at the deck. So obviously opening up with Virginia Company, going to be focusing a bit more on economy than anything. So the deck's name is Tower FI, and well, I think that really just tells you everything there is to know. Oh, what? Okay, I've just realized, if we take a look at his resources, he doesn't look like he's aging up. He doesn't even look like he's thinking about aging up at the moment. He is, wow. Okay, he got a lot of forward villagers out as well. So I'm assuming all of these guys are going to be dropping down manor houses as soon as Virginia Company comes in. So Virginia Company has come in, so he's dropping down 1, 2, 3, 4 manors, doing that. So putting them in a nice little bit of a defensive ring around the base. And particularly in this matchup, it's quite a smart thing to do. So one of the things I talk about when it comes to manors and the way that you can place them, there's a couple different schools of thought. But in my opinion, one of the best ways to do it is the line of sight manor. And that's exactly what Callan is doing here. So placing manors in a manner that is going to grant him significant line of sight. And I think that's a really smart thing to do. Just primarily because against the Germans, they're going to have free Ulans in the early game. They're going to be hitting you from all angles. And if you've got access to line of sight that your opponent doesn't really want to kill, well, it helps you out because it means that you're not going to be losing as many villagers for free. So that's quite a big thing. Now, sending in 3 villagers behind this. So really just focusing on economy. Up to 70 mana pop. He's got 6 villagers on food. So we can see that right as his last villager is running out of food, or about to produce, the next villager is just managing to come out of the town center. Also 1 villager on coin. I'm not sure exactly what that is all about, but we'll we'll work it out. I'm sure we'll discover exactly what that's for. Maybe, perhaps it's for Minutemen. Maybe that's what it's for, and calling Minutemen just for any potential early harassment or anything like that. So if we take a look at Lucas, we'll see what he's up to. Lucas is just playing standard, just playing casually, going up with the Quartermaster. So Quartermaster going to be providing him a fair amount of wood in the early game. We take a look at his deck. So it's called Verse Turtle. So perhaps they've played each other before, and Lucas actually maybe Lucas knows what Callan is all about. So this is actually a strategy he is prepared for turtles. So that's quite interesting. Let's take a look at the cards. So we've got 2 settler wagons, obviously 3 and 2 in age 2. Pretty standard age 2 stuff, to be honest. No 5 Ulans in here. Age 3 is looking pretty standard, with the exception of advanced artillery. Okay, this is a card that is seeing a lot more play, and I really like it. I think it's a wonderful card, simply because you can actually train mortars in the Fortress Age. It's huge when you think about it. Like, okay, it's going to cost you 3,200 resources to get to mortars, or you can just send this card and make mortars immediately. And mortars really are what enable you to overcome things like town centers, to overcome things like forts, especially if your opponent is playing very, very aggressive. Or I say very, very aggressive, but very, very heavy into that defensive structure. So I'm a big fan of this card. I think it's a very, very underrated card because it enables you to get a lot more tempo than what your opponent would like you to get. Because typically in build orders where you're going to be looking at dropping down towers or forts or building more town centers, your opponent is going to want to try and attack you as soon as possible, and they can't really do that because they don't have access to mortars, and this card bypasses that. So really smart play. So we've now got the crossbows coming in as well, so a bit of a tower rush happening here, dropping down the barracks as well. So we're only at 5 minutes right now, so this is quite an early barracks. The forward settler wagon obviously doing a fair bit of work here, dropping down a church as well, which is a smart thing to do on this map. No trading post means that no TP for the German player, and that's really, really important. So we've now got the forward shipment coming in. We'll switch over to Callan's perspective and see exactly what's happening. He's up to 110 mana pop, 31 settlers. Not too bad at all at 5 minutes. I'm curious how close that actually gets to what like a standard Virginia company is. I guess the primary difference is that like with a standard Virginia company boom, you wouldn't have pioneers, and you probably wouldn't have these towers either. There's a lot of towers here. There's 2 towers already, and he's still in the first stage. He is not even thinking about going up to the second age yet. He's got 136 food right now. So it's a curious decision. We'll see how it plays off for him. Doesn't look like he's got the blunderbuss upgrade just yet, but take a look how much damage he's actually receiving from these crossbows. Barely anything. It's like he's playing the United States and he's sent in the French immigrants. Like, these guys are barely scratching the surface at this point. It looks like the British mana is going to be just paused for the moment. I don't think he's going to have enough siege to really lay waste to it, but Callan doing a great job here of just sort of keeping his opponent, well, interested is probably the best way to put it. Just carefully putting in 1 villager at a time. He's got plenty of hit points on these bad boys. I know that Harrison would be very happy to see that they have picked up their great coats. They've got great coats as well as pioneers, so not going to be dying from anything. Blunderbuss now coming in as well from the market. When it comes to the crossbows, I think there's a bit of a curious position because crossbows, the idea behind crossbows is that you want to be idling your opponent. And when you ship in pioneers, well, you don't get idled because you've got so much extra health on your villagers. And when you combine that with things like Greatcoat, and then you combine it with things like Blunderbuss, which doubles the attack of villagers, well, it really makes it a lot easier to sort of survive these early pushes, and that's exactly what's happening here. So it's all, I would almost say that this is a little bit bot-like from Lucas, in that, I don't know if bot-like is the right term, but essentially, he's playing this like a normal person is playing the game, but the truth is Sir Callan is playing the game. It's not a normal person. A normal person isn't going to be sitting in Exploration Age for 7 minutes. So it's a little bit, I guess I would say, ridiculous, up to 39 villagers as well, which is a very impressive amount. And the fact that these towers are up here, it's just going to enable him to continue leveraging the power of his first stage. I think that's the first villager that's gone down right there, so a little bit of a miss micro. Second villager going down as well, so down to 38 villagers now. So not too bad, getting 2 villagers at this point, but I tell you what, I don't think it's nearly enough. I would have expected a German player, like, you know, on a standard day, if a German player is getting 2 villagers, then things are okay. And sending out a villager now, getting it out a little bit too far. We've now got more reinforcing troops here. So we've got some more crossbows coming in. Looking pretty healthy, I would say, for Sir Callan. Let's take a look over at his opponent. We'll see what Lucas is up to. Undoubtedly sending those 3 settler wagons, has indeed. Going to be sending in the 700 coin now. Actually, no, switching it up and going to 2 settler wagons. I like this build. I think that 2 settler wagons is a very underrated card. I've always been a fan of going 3 settler wagons, 2 settler wagons at some point, normally after 700 wood shipment. And I guess that's probably part of the reason why my ELO is so low. Because I prioritize cards like that quite high when normally people would be going for tempo. So we can see that Lucas, who is a top 10 player, keep that in mind, is opting for those 2 settler wagons. So really going to be pushing out his economy in the early stages. We take a look at his villages. We see that he's got the steel traps upgrade. He's also got, oh my god, okay, that was a settler wagon. He's got gang saw as well, and no villagers on coin, so we can't determine whether he's got any of the coin upgrades yet. But quite a decent start from him. And Sir Callan's now finally got an age up in queue. We're at the 8-minute 20 mark, and he's decided he might click the button. He might go up. Yeah, let's do it. All right, we can do it. 170 population, though. Not too bad at all. So he's up to 16 menace. He's actually dropping down an outpost on the tree line. I kind of like this. It reminds me a little bit of Age of Empires 2, in that he's got, like, this is a tree line back here, and that he's defending it, like he's putting up a tower to defend it. One of the interesting things is there's definitely a lack of walls. Like, well, actually, I say that, and he's literally putting up walls right now and deleting the pillars for it. So, it's probably one of the things I would expect in a build order like this, is that there would be a bit more walling. And there's really not a lot. Like, it's basically just he was inviting his opponent to come in, and he was saying, you know, come on in. He's actually dropping down another outpost. That's 4 outposts that he's dropping down now. That obviously wouldn't be an outpost. That's a mana tower. But Minutemen being called. Minutemen going to be coming in to secure the outpost, because there's already 125 wood that's gone into that. He wants to make sure that outpost does go up, because if he leaves it, that outpost will go down. It's a significant chunk of change. So wants to make sure that goes in. And it looks like the age up is going to happen. 9 minutes 17 age up. You know, ain't no thing but a chicken wing, girl. That's a decent age up time, and aging up with the governor as well. So going to get that, you know, that important 5th outpost. It's important to get that one up. Looks like a villager going to be going down, though. So I think that might be the 3rd villager of the game, down to 39 villagers at the moment. And Minuteman beginning to push out. But once this outpost gets up, there's really going to be nothing that these crossbows can do. And now sending in improved buildings. I love it. I really do. This is creativity. I know people are going to watch this, and, you know, the YouTube comments are going to say, this is so toxic, or this is disgusting. But you got to remember, okay, the concept of meta has existed for a long time in this game, and it takes a pretty big play to be able to shift a meta, or to take a meta and, you know, turn it upside down. And that's exactly what Callan is doing right now, because, I mean, to be fair, Lucas hasn't particularly played that well into it, because he hasn't really got that much idling that he's been able to do. He's picked off 2 or 3 villages. Actually, no, sorry, 3 villages. And he's managed to idle a little bit, but not really a lot. Like, he's put on a lot of early pressure, but really hasn't done too much, unfortunately. So it's a difficult spot for him. He's now going up to the 3rd age, though, so he's going to be going up with the Exiled Prince. He'll be getting up there relatively quickly. He's got a decent economy behind this, though. If we do a quick stock take, we can see he's got 10 settler wagons, so that means he's got a total of 39 villagers, or rather 39 villager population. So a decent amount of villager population, especially compared to Callan, who's sitting only on 44 at the moment. So sending in the advanced church card now. He's sent through, so doesn't have the 5 settlers in deck. So this is such a curious deck. Let's take a look exactly what's going on here. So he's sent in every single age 1 card. So he went Virginia Company. Hold on. Why did improved buildings just come up? Oh, he must have cancelled improved buildings? I don't know why it was showing like it had already been sent. So he sent Virginia Company into 3 settlers, and then Pioneers, and then Town Militia. It's so smart to send Pioneers that early. It really, really is. That is such a really, like, a cool adaptation. I love it. That's really, really cool. So Glorious Revolution coming in. So for anybody unfamiliar, the Glorious Revolution is the unique church card for the British. The British are going to be having some of the strongest unique church cards in the game, I would say. So typically Rogers Rangers, which is a big button that enables you to call, I think it's 22 or 26 skirmishes. I'm not sure exactly what the number is. It's a lot. They're guard skirmishes. They're like fully upgraded. They are absolutely monsters and enables you to call Highlanders as well. So I think Highlanders are 1,000 food. I think Rogers Rangers are 2,000 coin. So it's a pretty decent, bonus that you can actually get, especially considering that for the British player, they don't get access to skirmishes. So it's really, really nice to have skirmishes for the British. They do actually get affected by counter-infantry rifling as well. So now we're going to have some Ulans pushing in, along with some skirmishes. So doing their best to try and kill villagers here. Looks like a couple of Ulans have gone down on the backline. They've just almost completely just been shredded by the town center as well as the Explorer here. A couple of Minutemen going down as well. So sitting on 45 villagers. No villagers lost just yet. There was a volley that went out onto some villagers, but as you can see, these guys are absolutely tanky. 300 health. So going to take a lot of volleys from these skirmishes. Just there's not a lot of them. And sending in, was it the 9 Ulan card potentially? No, it wasn't. These must have been some trained Ulans. So trained Ulans coming in from the stable back here. And really a difficult spot. Lucas is just kind of a bit confused. He's like, all right, where's your army? Where is it? Let me kill it. And, you know, he's just got towers to deal with. So, you know, I love Lucas, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of watching this and I'm like, well, Lucas, you know, your deck is literally called Versus Turtle. You know what's going to happen. So why are you doing that? Why are you sieging a tower with your standard, with your unupgraded Ulans and your skirmishes, mate? Like, it's just very curious. Like, you know, you got to 7 Falk his ass. That's really what you got to be doing here. But speaking of 7 Falking, we've now got advanced artillery coming in. Not going to need Falks at all. Going to be bypassing it completely. So quite a smart move. Also getting amalgamation from the market. Going to enable him to collect that coin just a little bit faster. We can already see that he's got that Placer Mines upgrade. So he's going to be collecting it in overtime. That tower now going down. Now keep in mind, Callan wants his towers to be going down, because he's just going to rebuild them. You know, he loses a tower here, he's just going to rebuild a tower there. You know, that's the way that it works when you're doing these type of turtle builds, very typically. So we've got a town center going up in the back, so Callan's actually reached the 3rd age, so probably going up with the bishop here. I don't actually see the Explorer building the town center or any villagers on this, and it's still going up. Now got a fort wagon coming out here as well. A little bit concerning that it came out and just sort of dropped down, but not too much of an issue. He managed to get it out. So I don't know if it's the best fort positioning. It's not particularly aggressive. I would have loved to have seen maybe like something a little bit closer to the Explorer, kind of as close as you could get, maybe just sitting up there like that. But nonetheless, I think it's pretty good. And to be honest, I think it's a great call to send the fort. The fort's going to provide a lot of coverage. Even when it comes into the late game, it's going to be able to provide anti-cav, or like a really strong source of anti-cav, just simply because of the way that the bombard works. So like when you call your Rogers Rangers, you're going to be able to run underneath your fort. Your opponent isn't really going to be, you know, wanting to come underneath the fort, because they're going to lose basically, you know, an Ulan every single 2 or 3 seconds. How fast is it that this thing shoots? Yeah, every 3 seconds? Yeah, every 3 seconds rate of fire, 3 seconds. So a really, really high rate of fire. So let's take a look back over at Lucas. We'll see exactly what he's up to. Training 2 mortars here. I like this. I feel like any more than that's probably a little bit overkill, especially considering the economy isn't the strongest. So only 46 villages at the moment. You probably don't want to invest that much more. Now, he does actually know about the fort. So, I mean, if he really wanted to, he probably could go a little bit more ham than this. But, I mean, it's still a pretty decent army. I guess the biggest thing for me is that, like, I feel like this should have been the first card that he sent in age 3. And really just like gotten this out early, because the sooner you start chipping away at the buildings from the turtle player, the sooner you start pushing him into the corner. And the sooner you push them into the corner, the sooner that they have to go out onto the edges. And as soon as they're out on the edges, then you can start to pick off their villages. We've now got the Black Watch getting called in. So Black Watch is going to be those Highlanders that we talked about from the church. So they're going to be providing a lot of anti-cav, but going to get picked off by those skirmishers. So got to be really careful with them. Let's see exactly where they get shipped into. They get shipped into the behind town center, the behind town center, the back town center, the safe town center, probably the best way to say it. But a little bit of a difficult spot for Callan at the moment. Doesn't really have a lot of natural resources. A single Ulan sitting out on the flank as well. Now hitting the 4th age before 15 minutes. So doing a quite nice build order here. But in a difficult position for him. I'm not sure whether he got his crack shot off. Oh, there it goes now. He manages to get the crack shot off. I'm assuming that was a full HP Ulan, so a pretty decent timing there, considering that the Explorer almost died immediately. 9 Ulans now coming in as well from the German player. Still training more and more. Uhlans and skirmishers got these mortars out here. And to be honest, Lucas is playing this well. I wouldn't say that he's playing this poorly. He's playing this a lot better than every other player would play this. Every other player would come in, they'd be like, you know, making Culverin against this or something, and, you know, it just wouldn't be pretty. So I definitely think that it's the decent thing. Now we've got a bit of a settler wagon walk up to the north. So a lot of coin mines up here. We've got 1, 2, 3 coin mines up to the north. So settler wagon's going to be moving up there. We'll make sure that we keep an eye on those. A little bit dangerous. I guess one of the things that happens whenever you sort of put your settler wagons out like this. Now, keep in mind, obviously, settler wagons have got a lot more HP than standard settlers, so much less likely to die. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those concerning things. Like, I almost feel like, you know, you want to kind of put down just a wall, a defensive wall or something like that. So a decent mass now beginning to build. So 17 Uhlans as well as the 16 skirmishers. More and more mortars pushing it. But now we've got a bit of a push coming out now from Callan. Callan pushing out with a huge amount of Rogers, Rangers, and Almedi. So the Pokeboys, this is going to be a cleanup. I suspect this is going to be a cleanup. Almedi, take a look at their stats. 120 melee damage when they're attacking skirmishers, and look how quickly they kill them. Almedi now coming back. They've got to be careful of those Uhlans. They do not want to be fighting those Uhlans. Uhlans going to shred them completely. So the Rogers Rangers, just a significant mass. 26 Rogers Rangers it is indeed. And at this point, mortars aren't going to be able to do anything. So really nice composition here from Sir Callan. The mortars are just going to be chilling out here. Probably want to be shelling something down. But now the Almedi getting onto the back line, the skirmishers, and take a look how quickly they poke these boys down. Oh, yeah. Like, it is just ridiculous. Look how fast that is. It's 2 pokes and they're dead. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 5 Almedi. But the problem is these Uhlans that are mixed in are really going to be so difficult to deal with. Because even though they do so much damage to infantry, they only do 40 damage to cavalry. So it's going to take 7 hits to get through a single Uhlan. Those 7 hits, you could kill 3.5 skirmishers. Now we've got 3 rockets coming in on the back line as well. So some really decent shipments that have come in from Sir Callan. Also going to be taking down these mortars as well. So doing a pretty decent job at cleaning up. The 3 rockets now pushing out. Going to be taking down that forward outpost. So no forward shipments for Lucas. We take a look at Lucas. He doesn't have anything on the way at the moment, so no surprise 8 Uhlan shipment going to be coming in because there's no 8 Uhlanders in the deck, Drongo, you crazy cat. More skirmishers now, just being very careful. Just 25 skirmishers, so a decent mass. One of the things I always find with sort of Almedi, Mameluke, anything like that, is just mixing 5 Huss with them can be so damaging because it enables the AI, basically the AI, the way that it shoots when you're doing sort of attack move, to spread onto the Hussars as well as onto the Mams. And then the Hussars can get in and do their damage. And so now we do see that final Almedi going to be going down. We've got a bit of a skirm on skirm action. Let's take a look at the difference in stats. We've got 22 attack, 180 versus the 18 attack and 144 hit points. But we've got some Jaegers now coming to reinforce. Jeez, this build order's just got everything. So Jaegers as well. Now, I think these Jaegers have been trained. Because there's 5 Jaegers, and that's a very peculiar amount of Jaegers. We've got more Uhlans up to the north. How many villagers died up here? Sir Callan is down to 39 villagers right now. I'm pretty confident he lost about 10 villagers just then. He was almost on 50 villagers. That is a huge amount of villagers that have been lost that I missed, and obviously Callan's missed that as well. He was up on this mine. We can see he's got 559 coin. That was a massive raid. First factory going to be going down. But the push continues in the middle of the map. Got to be careful. There's always a chance that, you know, Uhlans could just run in from over here on the right-hand side, do a little bit of a flank, and take these out. But Lucas being very careful, just posturing around, just sort of looking for any stragglers that he could potentially pick off. Grabbing that cavalry cuirass as well. And settler wagon's still out here, just doing the work. 160 coin left on this coin mine, so he's going to have no choice but to really come down over to the south here. But we've actually got Town Center going to be coming up as well. This coin mine's going to be mined out. He's got barely any coin left on this map, to be honest. It's 18 minutes in, and the German player's running out of coin. Just German things. You know, all the Dutch players just going to be like, oh, I don't know what this is all about. I've got 2 coin mines in my base at the start of the game and at the end of the game. Whereas the Germans are just like, give me the coin. So it's difficult, let's say that much. If we do a gentle stock take at the moment, we've got 56 villagers up against 42 villagers. So really quite a lot of difference there. Germany definitely ahead here, despite the scores looking like Sir Callan is ahead. Pretty decent mass here for the veteran Ulans. So we've got 17 skirmishes backed up with 23 veteran Ulans. So they're almost just charging in, looking for something to kill at this point. I think he probably realizes, Lucas probably realizes at this point that this amount of units is going to be hard to stop. Like, what stops this? Like, probably, you know, Dragoons? Like, that's probably it. But this is so many veteran Ulans, and they're fully upgraded. I say fully upgraded, but they've only got their Cav Combat upgrade. We've now got some Hark boosters coming out, so a curious decision. Going to be giving up those 3 rockets. They were sitting a little bit too far out. And now the fort going to be here to be able to protect these. So he could have very easily gone in and killed every single one of these skirmishes. We take a look. It's just skirmishes and Jaegers, but he made the decision not to. And I suspect it's probably because of that fort. So even though, you know, some people would probably look at that fort and say, it's not really needed. Well, I would argue that it probably is, because he would have lost every single unit if he didn't have that fort up. So now a bit of a difficult spot. Both players are aware that there's a bit of action to be had down here at the south, and we start to see that the units begin to head down that way. So we've now got how many villages is this for Lucas? He's got about, so it works out to be 12 villager population here. He's got the explorer down here, just doing a little bit of a snare. So I guess it's not going to be for too long though, because we're undoubtedly going to be seeing some Ulans on the way. It takes a crack shot at the first Ulan, and now sending in cavalry hit points as well as some petards. So petards going to be coming in to deal with the town center. That's a pretty smart move as well, because you know, all he needs to really do with that is send in maybe 7 Ulans or so just down here. You send in like 7 Ulans, and that's going to be able to clean up the town center with the 3 petards. I think ideally if you go for 4 petards, they'll just one-shot this because it'll do 6,400 health. It's got 63. And now a huge pop of mercenaries coming out here. So keep in mind, this is 12 villages down here to the south. This is, how many this is the big mercenary batch. He's got infinite mercenary. Okay. I like this build order. Petards coming out as well, but they're going to be knocked out in melee from the Hark boosters. 121 melee attack. They take them all down completely. Up to the north now, we've got a little bit of a... What is going on up here? We've got villagers that are getting quick-walled in. Look at Sir Callan. He's walling villagers in right now. They're trying to get through the gap in the wall. There's a little gap in the wall. The settler wagon's looking through, but he can't get through. The skirmish is gonna... He's literally walled in his opponent's settler wagons. We talked about this earlier. We said this is too dangerous. Don't be doing this, children. And it's exactly what happens. How many villages has he just lost? In the space of like less than a minute, he's literally just lost how many villages? There was 12 down to the south. And there's going to be a town center that undoubtedly goes down, and probably a couple of mercenaries. Colonial militia also going to get called at the bottom. All of these villages are going to get picked up by the skirmishers here. Normally they'd be able to run away, but the villagers just coming in clutch, doing some quick walls. You can still see that these villagers are out here at the moment. Big colonial militia pop getting called. The veteran Ulans on top of them at the moment aren't going to be too much of a match. Unfortunately, those colonial militia. But, you know, doing God's work, a single mortar on the back line as well, going to be shelling down this town center slowly. We've got the second factory now coming in as well. We take a look over at the perspective of Lucas. Lucas down to 30 villages now, so a little bit of a difficult spot for him. Well, I'm curious, how many settler wagons does he have? He's got 2 settler wagons, that's it. Only 2 settler wagons, and we've got some Swiss pikes just doing Swiss things. The Swiss fisters just running through the opponent's base, seeing what they can pick up. So only down to 2 settler wagons at the moment, which means a total of 33 villages. The equivalent of 33 villages. Going to be losing this town center. Compare that to the 45 villages of his opponent, and definitely a difficult spot now for him because the tables have turned. The tables have definitely turned. Going to be getting in that veteran Hussar upgrade as well. So now going to be looking to do a bit of a cav switch. Also got the stable coming up. I tell you what, I'm so impressed by those quick walls. You know, we only just caught the tail end of that, but undoubtedly this wall had just gone up. This wall had gone up, and this wall was coming up. I saw that he was deleting pillars as we looked up here, and the only reason for him to be doing it was simply because there was a whole bunch of villages that were up here to the north. Another villager going to be going down now for Sir Callan. He's going to be losing that one. And more Swiss pikes now running past villages. Did he see it? He did spot it. He spotted it. He's on the ball. And both players have realized that they've crossed eyes, they've crossed paths, and now the single Swiss pike's going to be moving into, oh my gosh, it's just disgusting. These games get absolutely scrappy as hell when it gets to this point because there's no coin left on the map. You've got 45 coin left on that bad boy. How much coin's left on that? 1,000 coin left on that one. That's all the coin that's left on the map right now. But you know what? Sir Callan's got factories. And that's where the difference is. He's got the factories. So when it comes to, you know, economic differences, you've got 32 villages here. That's really 34. And then you've got, you know, 46 plus a factory. And keep in mind that that factory is producing a resource out of thin air that you can't get anywhere else on the map. So it is an absolutely huge bonus. Take it back. He's got 2 factories as well. So very, very difficult spot for him. I think from this point, it's definitely safe to say that Sir Callan is ahead. We can see that score-wise, he's jumped up about 6,000 now. So definitely heading in his favor. Despite that, we still see a significant mass for Lucas. And one of the things about this mass is he's never really been able to catch a head-on fight. Is that the way to say it? A head-to-head fight. With the exception of that first fight with the Elmetis, that was really about it. Every other fight, it's kind of like, you know, gone underneath the fort and he's had to back out. So it really makes sense when it comes back to thinking about this fort and exactly why it was shipped in. But now we see a couple of veteran hussars beginning to get scouted out by the single mortar. Mortar's going to have line of sight on it and go, wait a minute. Now, we've got 20 skirmishes in here as well as 23 veteran Ulans. The hussars, on the other hand, how many hussars have we got? We've only got 14 veteran hussars, but the Swiss pikes are getting in there. They're connecting with all of the veteran Ulans. Now, they are getting taken out by the skirmishers, but they're going to be putting in so much damage. They need to really make sure that they survive, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening. The Swiss pikes still in there doing the damage. The skirmishers going to be now connecting, unfortunately, with the hussars, and the hussars are going to be able to catch this. There's a reinforcing batch of hussars coming through behind this as well. And that is exactly how the game finishes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you've enjoyed this game. Sir Callan is an absolute beast. I'll be making sure to leave a link down in the description to his Twitch. If you've enjoyed the video, I encourage you to leave a like. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.